Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. Today we have with us Fort Worth financial professional Guy McCord, and we'll be talking about annuities. Guy, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Doing awesome. Looking forward to talking to you. I know that we've talked several times before, and it's always a pleasure to talk to someone that is really just down to earth and real and personable. So I'm excited to learn from you because I know you've got a really great perspective on helping people understand complex financial topics. But before we dive into that, what's your story? What's your background, and how did you get into financial services in the first place?
Well, thanks, Mike, and it's great to be here today. Back in the early 90s, I took a test that told me that I needed to be a stockbroker. So I went to work with a company called Payne Weber, which is now UBS out of Switzerland, and I worked there for a while. And then went into business for myself and kind of got away from that as a 9-to-5 thing. But I kept doing it on the side because I had clients that I was helping in the Houston area, Houston, Texas, and I just never let go of it because I really enjoy helping people take care of what they've worked so hard to accumulate in their life and not lose it all. So that's what I do, and that's where I am.
And I get the feeling that you are like you left your stockbroker boiler room ways decades in the past, and now you take the approach of helping people understand, and you teach and you educate, because when you start talking about money and retirement and wealth and how to make those plans, it is not a cookie cutter approach that fits everybody. You've got to really understand what someone needs, their specific circumstances, and then make some recommendations that way. So is that kind of your approach, is kind of coming alongside and helping someone just kind of from an educational approach?
Oh, absolutely. Every time I get on the phone call, at 9 times out of 10, when I'm talking with somebody, I'm asking them a lot of questions. And they're like, you're not trying to sell me anything today. I'm like, that would be malpractice. I don't even know you yet. Okay. So we got to get to know each other. We got to know, first of all, is this person going to be a client that I can help? What I do is not for everybody. I mean, if a guy's got $50 million in cash in the bank, it's not my guy. It's not the person I help. I really help the mom and pop retiree people that are looking not to lose what they've spent a lifetime trying to build.
That's a huge point, and I think that we need to really put a pin right there and clarify that, because I think that when you hear the phrase the market or stock market, and you turn on the news and you hear the Dow Jones went up, this, down, that, all around, there's a time and place to put your money in the market, but then there's a time and place where it's like, okay, we better circle the wagons and make sure we're not going to lose anything. So what is your approach when you're helping your clients understand, okay, the time for kind of volatility and fast growth, that's past, because now we need to really solidify and make sure you don't lose a dime and have guaranteed returns? What does that look like?
Exactly. So you're talking about really 2 phases, or really 3 phases in life. The first part is when a person starts their career and they're working and they're putting money in their retirement plans, whatever it is. And that's what we call the accumulation phase. I'm trying to build my assets, build my wealth, build my retirement. But then when they get up towards 59 and a half, as the government defines, when they start getting beyond 59 and a half, 60, now we're moving into what's called what I call the preservation phase of life, where I don't want to lose what I've built. And then after that, as we pass, because we're all going to pass one day, that's what I call the legacy phase. So 3 phases: the accumulation, the preservation, and the legacy.
Yeah. And so in this preservation phase, like what we said on the outset of our conversation, we want to talk about annuities. And I think that, in my opinion, I'm not an expert, you are. I think when you hear the word annuity, I think some people go red flag. So let's define what's an annuity and kind of how does it work so that we can really clarify some of the benefits and some of the things that that clients should be considering.
Well, you mentioned the word market earlier. Well, market has a lot of definitions. I mean, when I talk about market in this application, I'm really talking about free market.
Yeah.
Goods and services coming, meeting the needs of people. Okay, so the annuity industry has really changed a lot, not just in the last decade, really in the last 2 to 3 years. COVID did a lot to change the entire marketplace for all goods and services and the way we get them. And with annuities now, it used to be a dirty word. Stockbrokers don't like annuities because most of them can't sell annuities. There are people on the radio and TV that run ads that say, "Hey, I'll never do an annuity." Well, those same people won't tell you that they actually are talking about what's called a variable annuity, and what we like to do are more towards a fixed annuities where there's really a floor, a guaranteed that you're not going to lose money in your account if the market goes negative, but then you have the ability to participate when the market takes off and gains. So it's really because your money is really not in the market per se in a fixed annuity or a fixed indexed annuity. And so it's really a way to kind of smooth out the bumps and eliminate the volatility. So
and so when I hear the word, there's a lot of words that when you've heard the old test, like when you hear this, what do you think of? Like when I hear the word fixed, and I hear guarantee, and I hear secure, and those are all words that kind of make you feel warm and fuzzy. Like, okay, tell me more. So when you say fixed, this means that this type of annuity that you work with can't change. Like one year it's this return and this year it's up and down. So a fixed annuity is something that is going to be
right. Well, what we're talking about when we say a fixed indexed annuity is that your money can be allocated similar to what you would do in a mutual fund per se, where you say 25% of your money was tied to an index that measures the year-to-year performance of the S&P 500, for example, or Credit Suisse indicator. Or let's say I want to put my money into what's called a fixed account. Say I want to put 25% of my money in that account into a fixed account where I'm going to get a guaranteed rate of about maybe 3.5% a year.
Got it.
Regardless of what happens in the market. So, and that's what I really do with a lot of clients, especially when they're in the $50,000 to $1 million range, is I want to make sure that my strategy is that they never not get a return on their money. So on a lot of these accounts, I will take about a 25% position in the fixed account rate so that 75% of their money could be tied to indexes that are working with the market. But let's say the market goes down year to year, and that 75% of their money they're going to lose. They're not going to. Their index is down, so they're going to be at zero as far as a return. But in that 25% of that money, if it was at 3.5%, for example, they're still going to get a little bit of interest on that account.
And see, that is such a comforting thought because from what you just said, and let me make sure I'm explaining it the right way, you can never lose money when you're putting it in that account. And if it's tied to that index, whichever index that it is, if the market totally crashes, you don't lose money, you just are flat. But then in whatever percentage that you put it into the fixed section, and it's, whatever the earning is, it doesn't matter because that would change whenever you lock it in. But then you're going to go, well, you know what? The whole market went to pot. I didn't lose a dime, but actually I'm up X number of dollars because this percentage of my annuity was set at whatever rate of return. To me, that gives peace of mind. That lets you sleep well at night. And then you don't even need to worry about what the news is saying the market's doing, because you know you've got it dialed in and locked in.
Exactly.
So if that's the case, what are some of the potential drawbacks that people should consider? Because like what you've said, maybe one product is good for one client and it's not good for another. What would some drawbacks be that someone should consider?
Well, you know, you hear a lot of people say, they will say that, hey, I can't, I can't tie my money up. And I'm like, okay, how much of your money do you need access to? Let's say you put that money into a CD, for example. How much money would you want to take out at any given time? Oh, I don't know, 5 or 10%. I said, well, there are accounts that you can take up to 10% per year. Plus, after 73 years old, because of the CARE Act, you have to take out required minimum distributions if that money is qualified, meaning that you moved it from a 401k into an annuity product for, let's say, for example, because you wanted a provision to be able to get guaranteed income for life. You'd be able to take out 10% of that money plus your RMDs each year in the first. Like if it was a 7-year contract, you could take it out for those 7 years. But we also have accounts with certain companies that if you need to take money out because you have to be confined to a nursing home, you can take all your money out penalty free. So I asked him, I said, well, if you put that money in a CD, I've never seen a CD where you can take money out without penalty for any reason. So actually, I've got more flexibility in an annuity. And once again, this is all because of the needs of consumers in the last 3 to 5 years have changed the market.
Yes.
And these companies are doing these things that people really don't know about.
And, I think that's a big piece that you just brought up about maybe health or long-term care. It used to be that these types of products did not allow for that. It was, like only if you had a long-term care policy. Well, now with these kind of annuities, you're saying that there's some flexibility given how people's needs are. So now they've baked this into the actual product. And if you set it up the right way and you do need access to that, there is a way to get those funds for that purpose without incurring a penalty. And to your point, if you have it in a CD, they just go penalty. You can get your money. It's just that there's going to be a penalty there. So talk a little bit about some of those living benefits that it provides that maybe some people might not realize.
Well, I guess this is telling you how old I am, because I know what what we call the essential activities of daily living, or ADLs. Yeah. So so anybody that's of my age is going to know, hey, there's several of these activities of daily living. Feeding yourself, clothing yourself, bending over to tie your shoes, just going to the bathroom by yourself, those kinds of things. So if your doctor was to certify with a letter that you are unable to perform at least only 2 of the activities of daily living, you get access to your money in a lot of these.
Here's a question, and again, I love when I ask these kind of questions, because I'm putting myself in the shoes of one of your clients where maybe they would have the same question. If you needed that, and couple 3 of those factors were deemed, yep, you qualify, does the check come to you, or does it have to be sent to that care provider?
No. It goes to you, because if you're the account owner and or the annuitant, it would go to you.
See, that's a really big piece of flexibility that I think people would feel comfortable with, because if somewhere buried in the fine print, it's like, oh, great, now I've got to have this one certain in-network provider that they send the check to, and I didn't want to use well, that doesn't give me much flexibility. But if you qualify,
this is not a health policy. This would be your money. So it's your money, you own it. And now, one point I would make. Now, there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about annuities. One of them is taxation. With what we're seeing with the what the federal government is doing with taxes and so forth, I think taxes are they're gonna have to go up because they're not cutting spending.
Yeah.
So so the way annuities are taxed, it's kind of like think of it as three buckets. Um, with let's say you take money that you paid your taxes when you earned the money and you just had the money in your checking account, and then you say, hey, I want to, because really with annuities, a lot of companies are flexible. There are many companies you can get into an annuity account with as little as $5,000. Okay. Up to usually $1 million. After $1 million, there may be where we have to get a special approval, is because it's a big account. But typically $5,000 to $1 million with no big deal. And so if you've already paid tax on that money when you earned it, when you put that money into an annuity account, let's say in 10 years, because you don't need access. Let me back up. You don't put money into an annuity if you need the money tomorrow. Okay. It's not a liquid investment. Okay. It's for long-term planning, for long-term retirement needs. It's not for, I'm going to put the money in like a CD for 30 days. I'm going to take it out. That's not what this is for. Okay. So let's say, for example, I'm 50 years old and I buy an annuity and I put that money in, and 10 years after 50 and a half, so I'll be 60 years old. I want to start taking my money out because I want to quit. I want to go travel for 5-10 years, whatever. So when I take that money out, because I already paid taxes on it when I earned it, the money's going to come out what's called FIFO, first in, first out. And that's an accounting term that means the money that went in first is the money that's going to come out first, which means the principal that you put in when you open the account will come out tax-free. Okay. And not until you start depleting and taking out the money that was your return on investment, your interest, okay, or your gain, only then would you pay ordinary income tax on that gain at the end of that money trail, if that makes sense. Okay.
It totally does.
So the second category would be a qualified annuity account. And that would be where like we would take a 401k or an IRA or a 403b or a 457, or all the different types of IRA accounts are, move that money into an annuity account. It would still be taxed at retirement, starting
because it never got taxed in the first place.
Exactly. So you're going to pay taxes on it. I don't like doing that for clients. And the reason I don't like doing it is because that is a tax box. You end up paying tax on the money when you can least afford it when you're on a fixed income. So there's a third way, and it's called a Roth conversion. That's where we'll take, let's say a person they want to move $500,000 from a qualified 401. They move that into a Roth account, annuity account, okay? And they have many years where they can take out money, let's say $50,000 a year, pay the tax on it for that year, and then it goes into a portion of that, a different wrapper of that account, where they're going to pay income tax only on segments of that money over 5 or 10 years. That way, unless they can afford to pay the tax on the whole 500, that's a different story. But a lot of people can't. So we kind of segment that off 5-10 years of paying tax on a portion of that 500,000. And when they do that, when they start taking that money out at retirement, it's all coming out tax-free, principal and interest, because it's in a qualified Roth wrapper.
Yep. Isn't that kind of like the concept of, some people would say, well, why would I want to trigger taxes now on that qualified money from my 401k? Well, pay taxes now, because who knows what the tax rate is going to be in 10, 15, 20 years. And if you could pay it now and then you let it grow in one of these accounts so that down the road, you're not paying on the big question mark of what the tax rate will be, because we know taxes are going to go up. There's no question about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, sir.
That's a huge point there. So, I think this is something that is really interesting, that if you were to poll 100 people and say, annuities, good or bad, you'd probably get a whole bunch of people that are saying bad, because of misconceptions. And a couple of the points you brought up are valid misconceptions that are common. But when you can say, but if you look at it this way, And like to your point, if you need the money right now, don't put all your money in an annuity. Well, also don't put your money in a CD either if you need it all. So some of those misconceptions are misplaced from just the past. So I'm glad you cleared those kind of things up. And an annuity can be accessed for liquidity in those qualifying circumstances. So that's wonderful. But I think the biggest thing that people don't really wrap their head around as much is, boy, you can never lose money. And if you give your money to a quote unquote, Guy McCord back 20, 30 years ago as a stockbroker, there is no guarantee that you're going to not lose money. So in this account, this is when you need to preserve the hard earned cash that you've accumulated over the decades, because you're facing retirement either currently or moving forward. You just can't lose sleep over that. So you need that guaranteed return.
Mike, are you sure you don't write annuity accounts?
Really? I'm just listening intently and trying to say, did I hear this right, Guy? Because in reality, and I know this sounds kind of strange, but it's like, where's the catch? There's really not a catch. And even some of the things that you mentioned was like, well, if you need the money now, don't put all of your money into this product. Well, you would not want to put all your money into a life insurance policy or a mutual fund. You would want to be balanced anyway. So I just think that this is so interesting, and some of the changes from the recent years that you've mentioned, like, ooh, what if you needed it for health or long-term care? You can access it without penalty. Some of those other accounts that you mentioned, like a CD, like so many people think, I'm just going to keep my money safe and go put it in the bank. Yeah, but CDs don't pay as well as this annuity. And if you do need to access it, there's going to be the penalty there. So I think that this is so powerful that I'm glad you brought these points to our attention. And Guy, I think I would just like to say, what are some final thoughts when you're working with clients, what are some of the other, final points that you would want them to understand about annuities?
Well, if you're getting close to or even 5 years out from your projected retirement date and you're tired of losing 20 to 30% being in the market, the market's rebounded recently, but if you feel like you're in your preservation stage of life and you're just tired of having to look every day at what your funds are doing, give us a call, GuyMcCord.com. Real simple.
Very simple. I'll make sure that's in the show notes. And Guy, I think that last point you made is so critical, which is this. Boy, if you're tired of just watching the returns and being nervous and you don't want to turn on the news because what if the market did this or that, or what is your portfolio going to be doing? Boy, if you want that peace of mind so you can sleep well at night, boy, you can even there's research out there, I'm sure, that it shows that it extends your lifespan by not worrying as much. So that is just huge. Well, Guy, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.